It's time for another one-off rebuild, and this time we're going to try and take Italian giants AC Milan back to the top of world football. That's right, we're giving ourselves 5 seasons as manager of the Rossoneri here with the aim of trying to win the Champions League and also start to dominate the Italian football divisions, which might not be as easy as it sounds. They're a club steeped with history with so many trophies, including 7 Champions Leagues, with 2 of those wins being in the early 2000s with some incredible players in that side. They've won the Serie A 19 times, including recently winning it in 2022. We've got Cup Winners' Cups under our belts, Club World Championships and UEFA Super Cups. But despite the recent success in the league, our squad is very much in need of a rebuild. Some of our key players are old players that aren't going to be around for very long, and we need some fresh young blood in the squad, so that's what we'll be trying to do with our transfers today. But before we get our rebuild started, I'm going to ask you guys if you could be absolute legends and take a couple of seconds to hit that like button for us. It's completely free to do and it really will help with the video's performance. Lets YouTube know you enjoyed it, then YouTube think, oh awesome, let's pop that video out to more people and see if they enjoy it too. So if you could hit that like button, that would be great. Comment down below who you want to see rebuilt next, and finally, if you haven't subscribed yet, if you're in this percentage of people that haven't yet done it, then please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. At the time of recording, I'm about 30 subscribers off of 20k. So when this video comes out, I imagine we'll have about hit that milestone, and I'll talk about it more when we actually hit it, but that's going to be amazing. But make sure you do hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future content. But with that being said, we've covered all of the plugs. Let's get into the rebuild. Now, I mentioned that our squad will need rebuilding, but we do have some key players we can build around. World-class names like the likes of Rafael Leao, Mike Maignan in goal, Theo Hernandez at left back, and also Sandro Tonali in midfield, who we will sell after the first season of this rebuild, just so that it's in line with real life in terms of when he got sold, to try and keep this as realistic as possible. Obviously, he's gone to Newcastle in real life right now, so it'd be weird of me to have him around for the whole 5-year rebuild. But then some of our key players, particularly in forward positions, are quite old and maybe aren't up to scratch. The likes of Olivier Giroud, a fantastic player. I'm a Chelsea fan. I think he's great, but he is 35 and he's coming towards the end of that career now. And of course, we've got Ibrahimovic, who's retired in real life. I assume he'll retire at the end of this season in the game too. A phenomenal player, but someone we can't rely on forever. So I think our job here at first is going to be to bring in some star quality and lower that age profile so that we can become a dominant team in Serie A over the next 3 or 4 years and then really start to kick on in the Champions League. Like I say though, we'll get the rebuild properly started after the first season, so let's simulate that. Obviously Napoli won it in real life and we'll see how we get on in season 1. And we actually came really close to winning the Champions League title, getting 79 points, and Napoli, like in real life, did win the league with 81 points. We won the Italian Super Cup, which is a nice trophy to have in the bank. The Italian Cup we failed miserably in, and the Champions League we didn't make it out of our group, which actually wasn't the hardest group in the world. Got put into the Europa League and were knocked out then by Arsenal. So on a European front, very disappointing. Obviously in real life, AC Milan got to the semi-finals of the Champions League. So clearly in this football manager world, we're way off where they got to in real life, but it's not been a bad performance in the league. 37 goal difference maybe isn't amazing, but we got 79 points, drew 7 games and lost 7 games, and I'll show you the tactic that we're running with. This is kind of inspired by the AC Milan teams of the early 2000s. They had so many great central midfielders at that time, so I've tried to make a little diamond shape that suits that. I've also tried to have a regista in this tactic, similar to an Andrea Pirlo kind of role, which Tonali was taking up, and because there was no wide spaces, I've tried to convert Rafael Leao into a striker, which he has adapted to very nicely. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like he used to play there at Lille. I might have made that up, but it's not the craziest thing to think Leao could play up front. He was already competent there. He's became natural over the course of a season, and he's been one of our best players with 19 goals and 6 assists in that position. In terms of our other best performers, it's exactly the players you would have expected. Maignan, Tomori, Tonali, Hernandez and Olivier Giroud as some of our best performers in our first season, and our best 11 in this tactic currently looks like this, with Maignan in goal, Calabria out at right back, Kalulu, a very promising centre back we hope to build around in this team, with Tomori, Theo Hernandez, Pobega, who is a player that I didn't really know too much about before starting this rebuild, but he does look very decent in the midfield. Tonali, Benacer there, the Algerian in midfield, another very talented player, as well as Brahim Diaz, who's on loan from Real Madrid. We have an option to keep him here. I might exercise that, I'm not sure yet, depends on our budgets, with Origi and Rafael Leao up front. Speaking of our budgets, let's see, we've been given 47 million, so we have got some money to spend here. So now it's time to get our teeth stuck into this rebuild, bring in some players and start to put our own stamp on this AC Milan side. I'll start off with with the sales first and foremost though, as I said I would after the first season, we're kind of caught up to where we are in real life now, and Tonali has moved on to Newcastle, so I decided to offer him out. He actually wanted to leave anyway, and he's gone to PSG for 70 million. Not a bad bit of business on our end. He's apparently valued at far higher than that now at PSG. They've given him an incredible wage. He's a world-class midfielder. We're sad to lose him, but we have to keep this at least semi-realistic. So Tonali has left, but it's a big chunk of money that we can reinvest into the squad. And we certainly reinvested that money, buying 4 or 5 players for our first team, using the money that we had, plus that Tonali sale money. Now, my direct replacement for now for Tonali was Maxence Cacare here, who has joined us from Lyon out in the French divisions. He's played well for them, comes in for 22.5 million, not bad business for a 23-year-old who can get better yet. He's going to play in this regista role, hopefully in our team. You can see he kind of suits it. If not, he will still be handy in those central midfield areas, maybe as a ball-winning midfielder, maybe as a box-to-box, we'll see, but I'm very happy to have him in the side. I feel like he suits our profile well in this team, and hopefully it will help us not miss Tonali all that much. With Ibrahimovic and Giroud not really players that we can rely upon up front long term, I've decided to bring in some young blood up front to work alongside Rafael Leao, and we have gone for Marcus Leonardo. The 20-year-old comes in from Santos after a couple of decent seasons for them. He's likely going to play as that pressing forward alongside Rafael Leao. I think Origi is still a pretty good player for us in the FM world, so maybe we'll keep him around for a season or so and bed Marcus Leonardo in that way. A player with some decent ability right now, but certainly we're thinking in the future with this guy. But 50 million, not the cheapest, so hopefully he can live up to that expectation. I said I might exercise the right to bring in Brahim Diaz on a permanent deal from Real Madrid. I know that's something in real life that I don't think is taking place. I feel like he has gone back to Real, but he is going to join us for 90 million. That was the option that we had in the contract to sign him. He's going to play in that number 10 spot. Our other talented player in that position is this guy, the Belgian Charles de Catelier. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but them two are competing for that number 10 spot, and I think that's a lot of talent, and players that are not yet in their prime either. So we've got a lot of potential in that position. In all honesty, I probably wouldn't have signed Diaz if it wasn't for the Tonali money that we had come in, but I decided to make the deal permanent once we had that extra cash. And one for the future, I've also signed Oscar Glauc in that number 10 spot. He can also play in central midfield. The Israeli midfielder comes in from RB Salzburg, who signed him recently from the Israeli divisions from Maccabi Tel Aviv. I like the look of him. He's got a lot of potential. Whether he'll settle in, I don't know, but I certainly think we'll make a profit at the very least on that £18 million transfer. Hopefully it can work out for him. And finally, we've given David Calabria some challenge at right back. I know it says Pierre Kalulu is our best right back, but actually I want him to play in the centre here. So Maffeo has came in, Pablo Maffeo that is, a 26-year-old Spaniard coming in from Mallorca, where they signed him for £3 million from Stuttgart. We've paid £17 million for him only a season later. I feel like he's got the attributes to really suit our team, and hopefully him and Calabria together can provide some good competition in that right back slot. And as of right now, this is apparently what our best 11 looks like going into the new season. It's Magnon in goal, still Calabria, Kalulu, Tomori and Hernandez at the back. Cacare does come in the midfield. Brahim Diaz is here permanently now, but other than that, not too many changes. I feel like the players we've bought in are players that might take a season or so to adapt, but hopefully in the long term these will be good signings for our side. Let's see in season 2 if we can have any more luck in the league, maybe win the title, maybe actually get further in the group stage in the Champions League. Let's see how we get on. And we finish on a similar points total to last year, but unfortunately Atalanta and Inter Milan have gone and absolutely smashed us in the league. Inter finished 9 points above us, they've won the title, and if we have a look now at the past winners, we've had Juve, Inter Milan, AC Milan, Napoli, and now back to Inter. The title's bouncing around, there's no clear dominant team in the league yet, so hopefully over time we can become that side, but it wasn't to be this year. Although saying that, we've done much better in the Champions League, getting to the round of 16 this time round, where we lost to Real Madrid, which is kind of to be expected really. Real Madrid obviously a better side than us. They beat us 5-1 across the course of 2 legs, so certainly a deserved win for them, including the 4-1 loss at home for us, which is obviously quite embarrassing. But it's been a great year for Rafael Leao here, with 38 goals in 46 appearances, Origi chipping in with lots of goals too, Pobega becoming a really talented midfielder for us now at the age of 24, an Italian international too, Magnon doing well, Origi and Hernandez being very good players for us. Now I've just been having a look around because I noticed Oscar Glauc didn't play once. I also noticed some strange things like Pablo Maffeo only playing 6 times all season, and I started to wonder what had gone on, but then I went onto the registration tab and I found out that maybe I didn't think about the whole squad registration rules when I signed some of these players. We had signed too many non-EU players, so Oscar Glauc wasn't able to play for us this year. Pablo Maffeo wasn't registered because if we did register him, there wasn't enough players trained in Italy. So I really didn't think that through, and that's something we're going to have to correct in season 3. Maybe sell on some more of our foreign talent and bring in some more homegrown players. So let's see what we can do. In terms of finances, we've been given £31 million to spend, not as much as last year, but maybe we can make another big sale and fund our transfers. And we have sold a few players to make some cash. We'll start off with the small sales. Yacine Adli here. He was signed for £8.5 million from Bordeaux a few years ago, has been playing as a bit part player off the bench. You can see 20 bench appearances, no starts in Serie A. He was complaining about game time, so I thought, you know what, let's just be rid of him. 2.8 million. He goes back to France and hopefully we'll find his career there, but it was never going to work out here for us in that number 10 spot where there's far better players than him. Alessandro Florenzi has moved on to join Granada out in Spain. He's been around in the Italian divisions for so long, but now he makes his way back to Spain where he played for Valencia only a few years ago. £2.1 million for him, someone that was on quite high wages for a player that wasn't being used very often. So Florenzi is out the door. One of the weirder transfers we've ever done in one of these rebuild videos though is Pablo Maffeo, who I did suggest earlier I think didn't get registered. I'm pretty sure that was the case and that's why he didn't play so much, but after signing him for £17.5 million, we then had 2 teams come in for him, Real Madrid and Juventus, offering more money than we paid for him even though he hasn't had any game time. And we took the money and ran. I mean, we got £27.5 million for a player that we paid £17 million for, £10 million profit on him. I couldn't really reject that when you think about the fact that he hadn't played at all. Plus, once Real Madrid came in, he wanted to leave. He didn't want to stay. The Spaniard wanted to go back to his home country, so he's out the door now. £27 million extra, though, for us to spend on players this summer. But the sales didn't stop there. We also let Alexis Salamakers here go to Leicester. Now, I know he is a good player, but it wasn't working out for him because he's definitely a wide talent on that wing, and we just don't play wingers right now, so he hasn't got much game time at all. And then at right back, he's just not as good as the other options that we had there, so he wanted to leave. We were happy to cash in on him. You can see he only started 2 games in the Serie A this year. Last year he didn't start any, so we've got £5.5 million for him. It's not much at all. It could eventually go up for £7.75 million. There is a percentage of next sale as well, but Salamakers is gone, but he has left the club now, and that did give us quite a lot of money to spend. We just had to be wise with it this year and think about the squad registration rules. And for that reason, we started to look a bit closer to home when it came to the players we were bringing in. We needed some depth in these central areas, so I've decided to sign a couple of Italians. The first one is Nicola Ravella, coming in from Juventus. He's had a good season in Serie A, then came back to Juve and didn't play too much, so we've gone out and paid £10 million for him. Hopefully a player with a bright future. At the very least, he's going to be a decent squad option in that midfield. We've also picked up a backup goalkeeper, a young Italian by the name of Matteo Rizzo. Not too much to note there, only £900,000 coming in from the second division of Italy. One of our big money signings of the summer though was David Fratesi here, an Italian international with 3 appearances who is playing for Sassuolo and has had 2 very good seasons for them. He's a decent box-to-box option, could also potentially play as a ball-winning midfielder if you wanted him to. I feel like that probably undermines some areas of his game though, because he is quite good in an attacking sense, so maybe box-to-box would suit him. I feel like it's a good deal, £20 million for him, an Italian that comes in as one of our best midfielders, as you can see here, alongside Benacer. And I think this could be some great business for us long term. He's not even in his prime yet, and he's still got another 10 years left of playing at a decent level. And our final signing was a backup right back. I mentioned we let Maffeo go, and that did mean we needed someone to help Calabria in that position. So I've decided to sign Arnau Martinez, who is playing for Barcelona. I believe in real life he's still at Girona here, but they signed him for £7.5 million, gave him some game time in Barca B. Our scouts recommended him highly. We've paid £5.5 million for him, and he comes in as a backup option with a bit of potential. Isn't going to expect too much game time, but is still a quality player should we need to call on him. I've got to admit, when I thought about doing an AC Milan rebuild, I thought we'd have a bit more pulling power in terms of the star players that we could bring in, but there's actually quite a lot of players who don't see us as the pinnacle of their career. Lots of players wanting to move on anytime a big club comes in for them. But right now, this is the best team that we've assembled. It's pretty much what we inherited. I mean, Fratesi and Kakare, obviously, we've brought in ourselves, and other than that, it's pretty much the same team as what we came in with. We've got some better players on the bench and some younger players in terms of the depth at the squad. But I feel like next summer we really need to go heavy on quality over quantity. But for now, the squad is in a place where I'm fairly happy with it. Let's see how we get on in season 3 and then we can take it from there. And I genuinely cannot believe the result that we've had this year. Yes, we've won the Italian Cup, which is great. I don't think this is a competition that AC Milan have won on any regular occasion. Last time was in 2002. Before that, you're going all the way back to the 70s for when they last won it. So great that we have won the Italian Cup. Champions League, we were knocked out in the knockout playoff rounds by Atletico Madrid, a team I feel like we should have the ability to beat at this stage, but unfortunately it wasn't the case. But the thing that I'm so annoyed at is the league table. I mean, Fiorentina have gone and won it, which is great for them, of course. Nice to have another winner in the Italian divisions. You can see the variation of winners over the last few years, but we have been runners-up now on 2 occasions during this rebuild, and this one was heartbreaking because we finished joint top, not just with Fiorentina, but also with Inter Milan, all on 82 points. The same amount of draws and losses as Inter, way better goal difference, but we beat them on the head-to-head. Fiorentina, I assume it's came down to the head-to-head record because they've been given the league title. If you showed me these stats in the table, I would have assumed we had won the division, but clearly goal difference does not matter in the Italian division. So unfortunately, we haven't actually won this Serie A yet. We're 3 years in, and all we've got to show for it is an Italian Cup. I feel like we should be doing better than this, and we're really going to need to kick on if we don't want to lose our job pretty much in the next couple of seasons. But if we do take a look at our top performers, what can we at least learn from this year? Well, it has been, by the looks of it, a breakout year for Marcus Leonardo, who I asked to play as many games as possible this season. I simulate the years, and I asked the assistant manager to do certain things like play Rafael Leao up front. I requested Marcus Leonardo to play as many games as possible in that pressing forward role, and he has absolutely taken a shine to it. With 20 goals and 10 assists in 37 appearances, this is exactly what we want to see. We signed him a couple of years ago. We've waited for the right moment. Him and Leao playing up front together, a young, deadly strike force. Together, they have done very, very well for us. Theo Hernandez has also been great. With 7 goals from that left-back position, fair play to him. Fratesi has had a very good first season at the club with a 7.13 average match rating. We've also got Oscar Glauc getting a bit more game time and doing well when called upon. De Catelier getting 9 goals. Brahim Diaz getting 9 goals. I feel like we are at that stage now where we can really kick on with the players that we've got. So let's see what we can do. Can we make some big transfers to help us take that step up to title winners? Okay, so season 4, it's been a very quiet transfer window. Only 2 transfers to speak about. Before I do though, don't forget to like the video if you are enjoying and hit that subscribe button for me. I really do appreciate the support you've shown on the channel recently. It's been our best couple of months that we've ever had, and yeah, 20k subscribers is going to be the icing on top of the cake, but we'll keep pushing. Eventually we'll hit 25, maybe 50, maybe 100k. That's the aim eventually. But yes, Adrien Truffert here is our first player that we've bought in this summer, one of 2 transfers. He isn't the exciting one. He was a free agent from Rennes. I just needed some backup for Theo Hernandez at left back, and Truffert has came in to be that player. Actually, I'm going to give you a bonus transfer here because I realised I did not mention that we had signed him. Adrien Bernabé joined us last season, coming in from Parma for 9.5 million. He had a fairly decent season for us, was a bit of a bench player, but I just thought I'd mention him. He is a pretty good talent, came in originally through the Barcelona Academy, helps us out in the midfield, but I did forget to mention him. So yes, we do have Bernabé here in our team. But our big money signing of the summer was Giorgio Scalvini. We spent pretty much our whole transfer budget, 50 million, to bring him in. He's valued at about 100, so I feel like it's good business. 21 years of age, comes in as our best centre-back already, I want to say. At least he's up there with Kalulu and Tomori at only the age of 21. 6'4", great physical attributes, great technical and mental attributes as well, potential to get better, a future legend of the club, I hope, if all goes well. He comes in from Atalanta after some great seasons for them at such a young age. I feel like he is on another level in terms of the talent that we've brought in so far, and he's going to step in as one of our best for sure. So we're very happy to have him in our side. And if we have a look now at our best 11, has it changed at all? It has, a little bit actually, because now instead of having Tomori in there, Scalvini comes in. We've also got Hernandez, Calabria, Kalulu as before, Pabega, Fratesi, Kakare, De Catelier comes in, as well as Marcus Leonardo now becoming one of the better players at the club. Hopefully this season this can be the one. I feel like we've got a lot of good talent here. A lot of them now are young players as well. If we look at the general age profile, we don't have too many players that are old. We have a few players in the prime of their career here, about 26, 27, and the rest are all great young players that we can build around for the foreseeable future and create a dynasty here at AC Milan. But let's see what we can do in season 4, hopefully some more silverware. And we have pulled it off, and not just pulled it off, we've won the domestic treble, winning the Italian Super Cup again, the Italian Cup again, and also the Serie A by a big margin this year, 88 points, a much improved performance from us. Champions League knocked out by Liverpool. In every single rebuild that we do where we try and win the Champions League, I'm sure it's always Liverpool that end up annoying us. We actually went to penalties with them as well. Brahim Diaz missing the crucial penalty for us. Tyler Morton, of all people, scoring for Liverpool in that penalty shootout. But yeah, very unfortunate there. We actually won. Fratesi scoring in the 54th minute to take it to penalties. The Italian Cup final, we beat Roma 4-2. A great performance from us there. Our goal difference is way higher than before. Marcus Leonardo is the top goal scorer in the country. Leao and Benacer creating lots of chances. Leao and Leonardo being the best rated players in the league too. I feel like we are creating a striker dynasty that's going to last for years. A partnership that people are going to mention for years in the future. Leao and Leonardo, the two L's up front, scoring goals for us, and I assume they both chipped in with plenty. And yes, they certainly did. Leao getting 25 goals in 53. Leonardo has started to take more of those goals off of Leao as time has gone on. 37 goals in 55 appearances. Magnon also very impressive in the net, starting pretty much every game and doing great in all of them. The same goes for Theo Hernandez here. Brahim Diaz has done really well for us too. We have got a team here where so many players are contributing. Decatelier also very quietly becoming a great player, scoring 9 goals and 5 assists this season. So finally we have won the league. I think success for me would be winning the league again next year, maybe winning another cup competition and hopefully pushing on further in the quarterfinals in the Champions League. I think that's the aim. We've got £50 million to do so. Let's see what we can do in our final year at the club. Now this summer I think has been a very exciting one. I think we've taken a team to another level now, potential Champions League winners. I'll start off with the sales though. We've let Oscar Glaunt go to Bayer Leverkusen for $5.5 million. Never really worked out for him here, wasn't starting too many games. I said we make a profit on him when we first signed him, but that wasn't to be in the end. He's left for $5.5 million, a disappointing transfer and one that maybe we got wrong with having Decatelier and Brahim Diaz. Maybe it was always set up for failure for Oscar Glaunt. Not enough game time for him. Bernabe has left the club to join RB Leipzig. A great bit of transfer business from us. Sign him for $9.5 million. Start him, twice over the course of 2 years with 40 bench appearances and then sell him on for £23 million. Good business from us, wasn't really a player that we needed anymore, and you'll see why when you see the players that we've bought in. And another kind of failed transfer, Nicola Ravella, we decided to let go based on who we got this year. He was not going to get much game time at all. He'd barely gotten it anyway, so with the players that are coming in, he was never going to play. We got about half the money that we originally paid for him, so not the worst business in the world. And we also got some extra money from Alexis Salamakers. Remember earlier, we sold him to Leicester for $7.5 million. He then played 2 good years there and went on to Real Madrid for $45 million, and because of the percentage of profit we had on that deal, I think we rated in something like £7.5 million for him, which is some extra cash that I wasn't planning on having that allowed us to make a big transfer. We'll talk about him in a second. But let's talk about the smart business that we did before we talk about the flashy business. First of all, Samuel Ricci comes in from Torino. Some great years that he's played for them in the Serie A. A consistent player in the division, comes in as a good central midfield option for us on a free deal and valued at $60 million. A no-brainer really, a great passer and someone that I think really will suit us here at AC Milan. It doesn't stop there though. We have gone and signed Alexis McAllister, who in this world was still playing for Brighton in the Premier League. We've got him on a free deal now that his contract had expired. He even spent a year in the Championship with the club. He can play in any position in that midfield, maybe as a regista, maybe as a number 10, maybe as a box-to-box, whatever we want him to do. McAllister has got it in his bag. He's a good set-piece taker as well. He's going to be on penalties, I'm sure, and he is someone that I think is going to be a great player for us. In his prime, I'm valued at about £70 million. Again, we got him for free. Seems to be great business on our end. But the flashy signing that we have made, the player that's going to go down as our best transfer this summer, I'm sure of it, Moises Caicedo joins us again from Brighton, this time for a fee of £75 million. He is going to be the ultimate ball-winning midfielder for us. I think he's going to do a great job there. He could be a box-to-box as well, shuttling between those areas. And our midfield has got a real upgrade this summer. If we have a look now at our best 11, do any of our new players come in? I hope so. You can see Caicedo has made it in there. Fratesi still stays. And actually, Pobega is apparently better in this Regista area than our man Alexis McAllister. But you know what? They'll get plenty of game time across the course of the season, both of them. And our first 11 is looking very talented, with some real talent on the bench too. McAllister, Benacer, Tamori, Diaz, Malik Fior as well, Kakare, Trufa, Ricky. We have got a very nice side here, and I think we've done a great job. We've got the youth recruitment up to 20, the training facilities up to 20, youth facilities looking great, and the junior coaching is about where it was when we originally started. We are a club with a great reputation and a bright future with a very young team. We're predicted to come first this year in the league if we have a look at the season preview, and loads of our players take up the best 11 in this division. So fingers crossed we can win the league again. Let's see what we can do in our final and 5th season. And I couldn't have asked for a better end to this rebuild. I mean, maybe we could have done the quadruple by winning the Italian Cup, but the Italian Super Cup is yet again ours. The league title, despite being the worst performance this year, is ours once more, 3 points ahead of Inter Milan in that second place spot. But the big deal, the Champions League, we have won it with a penalty shootout victory. Now, when I simulate and go on holiday, I can see at the top that we're progressing, and I saw that we got to the semis and then to the final. And we'll have a look at the run that we had now, but I think we might have got quite lucky in terms of the teams we played. So our first knockout round was against Bayer Leverkusen. We beat them 3-2 across the course of 2 legs. Then we played Chelsea, where we lost 2-1, and then we beat them at home, winning eventually in penalties. We lost to an English club in penalties last year. This year, we did the business. Then, as far as semi-finals go, I'd certainly take playing Atletico Madrid, and that's exactly what we got. We lost 1-0 to them at their stadium, then we brought them to the San Siro and beat them 2-0 with Marcus Leonardo getting on the score sheet twice. Then came the match against PSG, where it was a 0-0, went all the way to a penalty shootout. McAllister missed, Mbappe scored. It must have looked like PSG were going to go home with a win, but Osimhen and Gravenberch missing the penalties, and eventually it came down to Maxen Kakare to put the ball into the back of the net. 2 winners of that Champions League. I pretty much had my heart set on the fact we weren't going to win the Champions League this year, so this was a pretty big shock for us to eventually go and win it. I thought maybe a semi-final, but I think the signings that we made this summer have certainly helped us. Caicedo, McAllister have all been great, but when you look at it really, it's those original players that we started with that have been some of our best. Leao and Hernandez have been fantastic throughout this whole rebuild. The same with Decatelier, the same with Magnon, Tomori's been around, the same with Kalulu, Scalvini. Everybody is on another level. If we have a look, have any of our players became legends at the club? Not quite, but Rafael Leao has gone down as an icon. Marcus Leonardo and us as manager are favoured personnel. We've delivered the 8th Champions League to AC Milan. We've added loads of trophies to the cabinet, and I would definitely say this has been a successful rebuild. Let me know who you want to see rebuilt next in the comments. Subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss the next one. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.